Hi everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer. How are you doing? This is forecast for April 2014. It's still cold here in Detroit, so I got a sweater on. I will be moving to Florida though, and then you'll see windows open all the time and bright sunshine. Okay, so April. I know there's a lot of stuff going on about April. We'll get to that. I just think you shouldn't get too worried about any of it, personally. Okay, let's see. Some big things for April. This is one thing, and okay, let's just talk about this Grand Cross stuff. Okay, so a Grand Cross is when you have four planets of one modality, cardinal, fixed, mutable, one of each, or at least one of each, all connecting together. Personally, I feel like what's more nerve-wracking might be a T-square when you have only three of that modality, and then you have the empty leg, let's say, of that four, because there's more instability with a T-square than there is with a cross or a grand square. But all the same, the grand square is happening pretty much exactly, it'll be around April 22nd, and what we've got is Mars opposing Uranus, and then we have Jupiter opposing Pluto. And then each of those is squaring the other. So it's all doing that at 13 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. So, I think this is a lot. I mean, yeah, people's probably tempers might be up, and maybe be careful driving, things like this. Be careful of just blurting stuff out or something with that Mars doing this stuff. But it's very quick. A few years ago we were having the T-square that had to do with Pluto, Saturn, and Uranus. Much more long-term. Jupiter and Mars are moving so quickly at this point. It's like, it's just on a personal level. I think because Mars is retrograde and Pluto will have just turned retrograde, which I'll talk about. Actually, Pluto, let's talk about it now. Pluto turns retrograde on the 13th of April. And Mars and Pluto were connected because before we discovered Pluto, Mars ruled Aries and Scorpio. And then when we discovered Pluto, it's like, okay, Mars rules, Aries and Pluto rules Scorpio, but they have what's called a co-rulership and a co-connection. So both of them being retrograde, because both Mars and Pluto have to do with goal setting and attaining and about power and, tempers in some ways. Pluto is much more of a slow burn than the Mars is. But to have them both retrograde has to do a lot with, long-term planning and evaluating where am I going, what's important to me, what can I toss out, what's in the way of me attaining my goals, And, but if you're not conscious of that, it can just feel frustrating. So a lot of people can be feeling frustrated, and then you're dealing with that square, the big square there. Just watching out for other people who aren't as conscious, maybe, because they're, I want what I want, and, frustration. But for people on a spiritual path, it's a great time for meditation and planning. How am I going to get closer to connecting with my soul? How am I going to work out karmic pieces? So there's a lot of good things that can be happening with these retrograding planets, especially even if they're in a square. It's like it's more stable when things are in a square, but it can also feel frustrating. But like I said, the square's not happening for more than a day or two, so don't stress about it. I think moreover it's kind of like, okay, what's in the way, and let me be willing to remove it. Sometimes a big thing like that with the astrology makes it come to a point where it's like, hitting bottom sort of thing. It's like, all right, whatever, move this out of the way, I don't really need this. And it could be about, sabotaging your own health with different foods you're eating or something, or way you deal with your ego in a relationship and you just need to concede something and let it go, or forgive something, get that off your consciousness, or even opening yourself up to bigger challenges, I'll take that job even though I'm nervous to do it. That sort of thing can be coming out of this square and coming out of the Mars and Pluto retrograde. So don't see it as like, oh my God, bad things are going to happen. I don't know. I'm not that kind of astrologer anyway, as you probably know. Okay, so that's all happening there with the Pluto retrograde. And just Pluto retrograde too, I'll just say, sometimes people can feel pretty, you can feel a little down sometimes when Pluto turns retrograde, or feel sort of weird. So just know that if you're feeling kind of weird around the 13th of the month, it's like, it's just that. We also going to be having an eclipse, though, 2 days after. That is on the 15th, and I'm sorry, I think I have lint here and you're touching my face here. On the 15th, we've got a total eclipse, sun opposed moon, 25 degrees Aries and 25 degrees of Libra. Yes. So the sun in Aries, moon in Libra, of course. So this has a lot to do with relationship kind of things. And I think for Aries Libra combination, it's always like, how much is it for me and how much is it for the other person, and creating a balance with that sort of thing. So in a relationship, how much you're conceding, how much you're giving, how much you're receiving. Another thing can be about, especially because we're working with the Pluto retrograde and going into that cross, is like, what am I getting out of relationships? Am I happy in this one relationship? If not, kind of that thing about, you're the common denominator in all your relationships, what needs to change in me? And if you're looking for a relationship, what are you willing to give up in yourself so you're not attracting the same sort of situation over and over again? Because eclipses give that sort of insight, that sort of snapshot into your subconscious. Also, you should look out for, even with job things, because there's a lot of partnership things going on with work, or that sort of thing can also be like, why am I getting the same sort of job? Or why do I feel taken advantage of? And how can I have more personal power being expressed? But if you have a partner who is a meditator and is on a spiritual path, it's just great to be able to say, what are we both not happy with? How do we each, what needs aren't being met? Excuse me. And how can, I didn't even know that was a need of yours, or yeah, I can do that and make it better for you, or yeah, I'm willing to stop doing this thing so you can have your need met, and coming to some compromises that actually enhance the relationship. Even if you're both making compromises that feel curtailing, it can end up opening things up. So, and again, like I said, that can come out of the square too. So that cardinal square on the 22nd. So see it as something that it contracts you a little bit to expand you, So again, not too much fear. Let's see. The other thing that's sort of interesting about this month is, let's see, what will I talk about first? Well, let's talk about Venus going into Pisces, and it's going to be at the same point as Neptune, because this goes along with the relationship stuff. Venus in Pisces is very, very mystical. I have a client that she's an Aquarius, but she has Venus in Pisces. She says, Venus in Pisces, mush head, because it makes people pretty sappy and stuff. It's very sweet and wonderful. But, it's ruled by Neptune in Pisces. So you put Venus in Pisces next to Neptune. It's extra idealistic, extra compassionate, extra, sweet. And it can be a wonderful time about feeling, again, if you've had, ego battles in a relationship, that conjunction there, even though it's just for a short time, like right at the 11th, it happens exactly, of April. It's a time of like, wow, like let me soften some of these positions I have that are hardline, and say, I really feel unconditional love, because that's what Venus in Pisces is, and it is accentuated even more by the Neptune. I have unconditional love for this person, and let me put, this dumb thing aside and see the bigger picture and get our personalities out of the way and see that our souls are working together. Venus conjunct Neptune too can just open your heart to a new relationship if you've been hurt in the past. So there's a heart opening. So again, the fact too, back to this scary square thing everyone's talking about, this preceding it is like being able to be a little more releasing of your ego, and then going in and saying, okay, look how my ego causes all these problems with this square, and you're already sort of feeling compassion for how you impact the other, and you're willing to shift and change, and even being compassionate that some people who are unconscious just act so much on ego, and they're just trapped in their little small world and just thinking, wow, they're just really stuck, instead of reacting, they're being this way. So when you go into the square, you've got more consciousness about it. Okay, now the other thing is Mercury is moving into Aries, and oh my God, it's flying through Aries, which is kind of the way I guess Mercury in Aries likes to be. It's going into Aries on the 8th and goes out the 22nd, so it's real fast. And now this is where maybe a little, I don't know, monkey wrench goes, because Mercury in Aries is very like, I think it, I want it to happen, boom, boom. and I say it and I'm thinking it and it's coming out of my mouth, And in a way, this could be good because it can give you the courage to act on some of those insights you may have. I need to drop this habit. I need to talk to this person and confess that, this is my ego doing this and I'm going to make a shift. So in that way, the Mercury in Aries can be great, but it's also a little tempestuous, a little temperamental. And so if it's, I think I would say that if you are feeling reactive, to try to go into meditation first before you blurt. Again, if it's a courage thing that, you can break your pride and be able to talk about things or make a move that, your ego doesn't normally, you try to be small and then the Mercury in Aries I'm going to do it. That's good. But if it's just something sort of that comes right up and you just want to say it, it's like, let's think about this. And that's where the Mars retrograde in Libra can maybe be more contemplative and less, outbursty, and it could kind of balance out the Mercury in Aries, which just wants to say anything comes to mind. But it could also, again, if you're feeling frustrated with that retrograde Mars, you want to blurt, So I think the whole key is egos are being really tested, and to know that on a higher plane, it's like the ego is temporary. It's like, even if you don't believe in past lives, your ego changes so much. What you identify with, what you like. For instance, I remember, it was totally random, but I remember hating pizza growing up as a kid. I really was disgusted by the smell of cheese. And I remember being at some party at 7th grade and everyone was eating pizza, and I was like, I'm going to try to eat pizza and be like the cool girls eating pizza. And I just barfed. I'm not a barfer. I just threw up from this pizza. And then, I don't know, I had a shift of consciousness or something. And then pizza became one of my favorite foods when I was 16 or something. And of course now I love pizza. But it's if my ego was I am someone who doesn't like pizza. It's well, now I am someone who likes pizza. So the ego is always temporary and changing, and it could be as stupid about liking pizza or not. I want this person, I don't like them, they do this. And now it could easily shift. The ego is just a thing that's always moving around just to get its way, So I think that the square can say, how important is it? Is something they say in 12-step programs. How important is it? And another thing they say in those programs, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? If you're a Karen like me, maybe you want to be right. I don't know. But it's this whole square is saying, really think about before you say it. And why do you keep getting in the same thing? And why are you at an impasse? Do you need to just shift something? And not putting as much stock in the ego, which is so transient, temporary, and, can just suddenly be totally different and be attached to that being different. Just I hate pizza, and I'll, pound the table and say I hate pizza, and all of a sudden pizza's great, and it was also dumb. So it's all this stuff that's going on in the relationship could be completely dumb if you just surrender the ego part of it. So I think that's what this whole month is trying to do, but and you'd rather put that energy into shifting the ego and changing it, and instead of blurting. So you could use the energy either way. You either kind of use sort of that sort of reason to cut the ego, or you're I'm being a jerk to other people with these energies. And again, a lot of people are going to be jerks in April. You just say, wow, they're caught in their ego. You don't have to get into it, So, and again, no big whoop, this whole square. You don't have to feel all this scary stuff around it. It is scary, I guess, to confront your own ego. And it is a measure of your spiritual growth to observe people in their ego and not react to them, which is definitely tricky when they're really pushing your buttons. But remember, if you just remember that transience part of it, the transient nature of it all, I think that could help you having that bigger picture. And to cultivate that Venus-Neptune conjunction of the unconditional love for people. And it may be a little spiritual ego-y to feel sorry for those people in their ego, because we're all probably still in our ego here, not all spiritual masters. But still, if you even have to take that, that's fine, and have that sense of compassion. We're all going through this, and we're all being challenged, and some of us are aware we're being challenged, and some of us aren't, and some of us are more conscious of our growth, some of us aren't conscious. So hang in there and have fun with the month, because it could be a great time of ego challenges, and I will see you in May. And again, anybody wants personal connection with me, please, you can get a reading, go on my website, alunamichaels.com, give me a call, send me an email, and I'm glad to help you through your personal path. Bye for now.